Neck-throughs, guitars, they're like a guy that won't have a beer with you.
I want to hear what's pushing the notes.
Freddie King and B.B. King, Albert King, and let's not forget Burger King.
I don't want to blow my knuckle out.
Stainless steel is the work of the devil.
These go to 11.
From the East Amplification Tone Labs in Baltimore, Maryland, it's the Amps and Axes Show with your hosts, Jeff the Godfather of Low Wattage Amps Bober and Mick Marcelino.
Well, good day to you, Mr. Bober.
Good day to you, Mr. Marcelino.
Hey, it's a happening time.
It is. It's a good thing.
Yeah, man. And we can't, thank you guys enough. And we definitely can't do this without you,
That's right. We can't do it without you. We can't do it without your friends, relatives, countrymen. Yeah. We need all your ears.
That's right. And with all the crap that's going on, we want to give you a place where you can come and just kind of decompress.
Right.
And when you do decompress, make sure you tell your friends. And when you do tell your friends, tell them that you heard it here first.
That's it. Numero uno.
That's right.
And there's a good chance, unless you're pretty deep into the blues genre, which many of you probably are. But those that aren't, we're going to bring you somebody today who's been doing it for quite a while now. And let me see. Probably over 30 years at least.
Yeah,
about 30 years. And I'm sure he's going to have a couple of cool stories and what's the word I'm looking for? Stories steeped in the blues.
Well, there you go.
So there you go. Well, I'll leave it at that. We're going to take a pause for the cause. We're going to be back with our guest of the week, Miss Joanna Connor.
Hey, this is Matt Jalbert from the band Talk, and you're listening to Amps and Axes.
CastFans, I got 3 words for you right here. Vinyl Me Please. What a cool company. Every month they will send you a new release, and it's not just something you can get in the store. Everything you get from Vinyl Me Please you can't find anywhere else. They work with the artist and the record houses to come up with something really special for you. And it comes with a 12x12 album-inspired art print. And what I think is really cool, a paired cocktail recipe to go with your music. How cool is that? They give you things like colored vinyl, custom lyric books, exclusive artwork, personal notes from the artist, much more. And if you don't like it, they have this program called Swap, where you can actually send it back and pick from another offering in their archives. So it's a really cool thing. Just go to joinvmp.com/AAA or go to our website and hit the link. You'll really dig it. Thanks.
Okay, and we are back as promised with our guest of the week, Miss Joanna Connor. Joanna, how are you?
I am great, enjoying this cooler fall day. It's nice.
Oh, nice.
So Jeff, I always, I have to start out with a story.
Yeah, got a story.
So I'm surfing the internet, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do that. And I'm on YouTube, and it takes you down some rabbit hole always. And I stumble upon Joanna playing at some festival, and I'm going, oh my God, this is like the most incredible slide playing I've ever seen, and I've seen Derek Trucks. And
thank you, geez.
I was blown away by what was going on, and I'm going to have to put some videos up because our listeners are not going to understand it until they actually see her play. I've never seen anything like. I mean, it's like it's just a mind of its own.
Yeah, She's a little more wild than Derek.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
cool. It's pretty cool. Mick
Thanks,
said,
guys.
"Oh, you're welcome." Mick, Mick told me that he said, "I got this woman, Joanna Connor, coming on the show, and she's a slide player, and you won't believe it when you see her play the slide." I said, "I've seen it. I've seen it." Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Yeah, man.
So Joanna, what we like to do is we like to, as I say, get in the Wayback Machine and take a ride back and find out where Miss Joanna Connor came from, like where you were born and raised, and how and why you wound up in music. So give us some history here.
How far back should we go? Like, not to the womb or anything. No, just kidding.
Well, just after that. Just after that is good.
Okay, after that. Okay. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and I was raised in Worcester, Massachusetts. And my mother was a piano player, but we never had a piano in the house. But she loved music, and she took me to see all kinds of music. I heard all kinds of music in the house. But she really loved jazz and blues and rock too, and classical and just everything. But she would take me to see a lot of jazz and blues concerts in town when I was little. I saw Buddy Guy when I was like 10. I think I went to every Newport Jazz Festival for like 10 years. And so she was influential in that. She was always like listening to new stuff. I heard reggae when early 70s, before, it even really got big here. So she was pretty hip in that area. So that was the big influence. And she bought me a guitar when I was 7, and I took classical guitar. That was her urging. And then I quit for years, but I started back up in high school, and I kind of never put it down after that.
That's awesome. How did you wind up going from New York to Massachusetts? What was the reason for the move there?
My mom was from Massachusetts, so I guess I don't know. I always get mad. I'm like, why do we have to move out of New York? But Massachusetts was fine. I guess she felt it was more suitable or something. I don't know.
Interesting.
But, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you said she was a piano player, but never a piano in the house. Was she?
No.
Was that her profession, and was she doing that in New York and Massachusetts?
My mom was born in 1930, and she told me her parents were like, "There's no way you're going to be a musician," and it was just not what they wanted her to do. So she never pursued it, but she always loved it. I guess so it passed down to me, and I kind of took the mantle and ran with it. And she never stopped me from wanting to be a musician, probably because that's what happened to her. So that was that's how it worked.
Very cool.
Boy, did you run with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you always want your kids to have what you didn't have. And, especially if somebody was into music and the parent said, no, not happening. That's, it just stifles the creative. So you don't want to do that, for your child. So that was very cool.
Mm-hmm.
That was very cool.
Yeah, it was. And yeah. Mm-hmm.
So do you remember what your first guitar was?
Oh, the typical something from the Sears catalog. Like every guitar player says of a certain age,
Of course.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's very cool. So you played for a while and then put it down and then picked it back up. Any formal training involved anywhere there?
When I was how I learned to play slide was there was a guy my mom knew through where she worked, and he taught guitar. So she says, "Why don't you take guitar lessons from this guy?" And I was like, "Okay." And it was like finger style, ragtime and early blues, and he taught slide. And I wasn't really too sure what that was. So he really gave me a great foundation of technique. So there's the hand of fate once again. I was always very lucky to meet this man.
Wow.
And with that Sears guitar, probably the action was like a mile high, so it made it very easy to play.
Perfect for slide.
It definitely. I think I had a different one by then, but it was a really bad action. Yep. He was very serious about the technique. He was a perfectionist. So which served me well,
That's
it shows
pretty
in your
funny.
playing because, there was one video where you were it just looked like you were throwing your hand, and I'm like, she's hitting it dead on. That was the part that was blowing my mind.
Thank you.
Thank
you for noticing.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Because if you go, this, Jeff. I mean, if you go just a little bit one way or the other, the note just sounds, you get that weird off thing. And
Right.
Oh yeah.
And there's somebody, she's playing, and I'm watching, and I'm like, how in the world? It's mind-boggling. I mean,
Yeah, she just throws her arm up there and perfectly hits the 32nd fret.
yes.
Thank you. A lot of years of playing, let me tell you.
That's very cool. So we went from the perfect acoustic guitar for slide, even though you didn't know what slide is, you had the perfect instrument for it. Well, actually, you had a different one at that point. But what was the what was your like first cool or real or electric? Was the second one acoustic as well? And if so, when did you hit electric?
Third, the first band I was actually ever in, I was just out of high school, and a friend of mine gave me a Telecaster for my birthday. So that was my first pretty cool electric, cream-colored Tele, probably like a 72 stock. And then I had a Strat, and then a friend of mine had, this is amazing, a 53 Gold Top that he let me use. That he bought for $75 back in the 60s.
$75.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Can't even imagine what it's worth now. He had 3 guitars like that. He had like his really rare turquoise colored 335. I mean, he bought them all for like under $100. I can't imagine what they're worth now. But so I played that, and then oh gosh, what did I have after that? Then I had a pretty bad. That was his. Then I moved to Chicago and had a pretty crappy Japanese Stratocaster. No insult to the Japanese, but whatever. Yeah.
Wow, that's. I'm still catching my breath for the
53?
the Gold Top. Yeah.
I know.
Wow. And the
cool.
the custom color 335.
Turquoise.
Yeah. Turquoise,
Wow.
and it was the original paint.
Look at that.
Wow.
Yeah. Huh?
I know.
Wish I was more of a historian, but yeah, it was pretty amazing.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So what kind of rig did you have at that point? Do you remember what the amp was? And was there any pedal accoutrement?
There wasn't at the time. I didn't know about pedal. I think the first pedal I ever tried was a Big Muff. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
Oh,
man.
absolutely.
The name cracks me up, but yep. And so that was like, wow, listen to this. But I was more of a singer and a rhythm player then. I wasn't the guitar player I wanted to be. But I did have a very cool amp. I had a 63 Twin that I got from an accordion player of all things, and it was in perfect condition. So I brought that to Chicago with me on the bus, and it weighed a ton. And,
Wow.
Yeah. And it survived the Greyhound 3 changes of bus from Worcester, Mass. to Chicago.
Wow.
In the cargo section of the bus, yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. You could saw those twins down the stairs. Like, the only thing that ever happened was the reverb went out at one point, but that thing was really amazing. They could withstand anything.
Yeah.
That was always those goofy RCA jacks that they had, right, Jeff?
Yeah, well, the springs inside the tank would just break, or the wires inside the tank would break just from the vibration.
Yeah, but those RCA jacks would get messed up too if you they right where they went in, because they always it was on the back, not under the bottom, right?
Right, yeah, it was on the back, and it was the braided wire that was bent at a 90-degree angle, and you hit that too many times, and that's gone too. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. The rest of the amp always worked. It was pretty great.
And extremely loud.
Extremely loud, yes.
Yeah, man.
Man, that's like such a typical blues story. It's like, I left here with my black-faced twin in the cargo bay of the bus, and that's cool as hell, man.
Drove it to Chicago.
Yeah, it's a true story. Yeah.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
All right. So why did you go to Chicago? Was it music related?
Yes, I had loved. I really fell in love with the blues, and I was gosh, I was sneaking into clubs in Boston at like 14 to see James Cotton and whatever. And I looked, drinking age was 18. They weren't too strict, but I went to, I saw Albert Collins and Son Seals and Albert King. Well, and who else? Buddy Guy, Junior Wells, all those guys all the time. And I was just fell in love with the Chicago blues sound. And I went to Chicago for fun to check it out. And I was like, that's it, I'm moving. So when I hit 22, I was like, well, it's time to go. And I really, my goal was, I was in a pretty successful band in Massachusetts. And like I said, I was singing. We did a lot of R&B and blues. And the guy in the band, the other guitarist, was the guy with the gold top and whatever. He was the lead player. And I just couldn't seem to crack what was going on with playing lead. And then I just I'm going to Chicago. I'm not going to sing. I'm going to get in a blues band, and I want to learn to really play right there. And that's kind of what I did.
Oh, my God.
I boldly went. Yeah.
That is pretty cool. Wow. I mean, but it's not the first time we've heard a story. It's like, I'm just picking up and going, and, I got $100 in my pocket on my guitar, and
yep.
gonna figure it out from there. And, man, good on you.
I was young and full of, confidence, I guess you'd say, which served well because you needed it, you definitely needed to get through. It was not an easy ride, but definitely thrilling. I was seeing people on the street that I idolized and got to jam with lots and lots of greats, and eventually in a few months got a house gig at the Checkerboard Lounge, which was Buddy Guy's club on the south side. And
oh man,
I was in the house band, so I got to back up everybody. This is, I didn't get to back up Monty Waters, I mean, he had died, or Howlin' Wolf, but pretty much everybody else you could name I was playing fine. And slowly but surely I start to figure out the guitar, kind of trial by fire.
Jesus.
And there you go.
And around what year was this?
Like 84.
Wow.
1984.
So,
85.
The scene in 84 was, that was, was it making a comeback? The Blues Brothers was kind of like a little bit of a help. But the scene had kind of really taken a hit in some of those years.
Yeah.
For sure.
And it, and Stevie Ray Vaughan, then of course, that was where it kind of really amped.
Right.
Yeah, it started to come back. Yeah.
And every guy in Texas, all of a sudden,
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, everybody was coming out of Texas, but Chicago had never went away. It was always there. It wasn't getting the national attention or record sales per se. It wasn't the golden age of chess at that point, but it was tons of clubs and festivals, and it had never, kind of like it is now. It's still booming.
Oh yeah.
Just kept going. It's part of the culture of Chicago,
That's so cool.
For sure, and thank God, really.
Yeah, because that's
that absolutely one of the hotbeds.
Yeah,
it's for sure one of the hotbeds.
It is.
And now,
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, have you played with Robert Cray?
I've opened up for Robert Cray. I've never played with him, but I've been on several festivals with him.
Shook his hand?
Mostly in the 90s when I was. I did. Yeah, he knows who I am.
Oh, there you go.
He was very nice. But, actually, he came when he was just starting to hit it. It was like 85, and I was playing at the Kingston Mine, which I'm playing at now with another band, and he was there, like on an off night. I forgot where he had played. Just hanging out, kind of checking things out, and nobody kind of knew who he was,
Yeah.
Well,
like Buddy and him are like, they're like the last dudes, right? I mean,
yeah.
You think of anybody else that
pretty much?
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So you got to see. You got to see my favorite King.
Oh yeah.
You said Albert.
Yeah.
He's my favorite King. I'm sorry, BB fans, but and Freddie fans, I'm sorry. I have a big conversation with another friend of mine about, Albert, Freddie. It's like, no, for me it was Albert.
Yeah. For guitar, I loved Freddie King. I really loved his voice. I mean, I love B.B. King, but Albert for guitar, I think he was the one. Yeah. Although I love B.B. too. I mean, B.B. in his heyday, like live at the Regal and all that stuff. But Albert was I don't know, he was the deep blues thing. B.B. was a little more slick, I guess. I don't know. But I think BB and Freddie with the singing was amazing. And Albert was a great singer too, you know.
Oh, yeah.
But I saw Albert many times in Boston and then in Chicago. And I actually met him once. And the guy that I was playing for named Dion Payton had played with Albert King, along with a lot of other guys in Chicago. And he had, you know, he's like, wow, he was such a tough guy. Throw guys off the bus on the road if he didn't like you anymore. Like, get out, take all your stuff and leave. And, you know, he carried a gun, all those legendary Albert stories, and yelling at the band. And he was standing there watching me play, and I was really nervous. And he said, young lady, you know, that voice he had. I was like, oh, boy, what's he going to say? He goes, I like the way you play that guitar. And I'll never forget that. I was looking at he's a big dude. I was looking up at him like, wow. And he got in his Suburban. He was riding in a Suburban on the road and took off. But because the club I had played at then and now, it's open till 4 a.m. So a lot of musicians would come through after their gigs or whatever and hang out. So, yeah, I got to meet him, actually. Awesome. I was kind of like, bloop, 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 bloop. Bloop, 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 what do I say? Yeah. And I got to play with BB a few times.
Oh, nice.
I opened up for him about 3 times. Yeah. Very nice man.
And, of course, Buddy, right?
I hate the name drop, but...
Oh, no, we like that.
Buddy.
That's great.
Buddy. Yeah, Buddy guy many times. And, you know, like I said, we were his house band. We were the 43rd Street Blues Band, and that was the Checkerboard Lounge, which was on 43rd Street. And Buddy and Junior and all of them would sit in the corner of the club playing cards when they weren't traveling, and like the Myers brothers and whoever else would drop in, Little Milton, or, you know, just hang out and play cards and swear at each other and smoke and drink whiskey and whatever. And
could you imagine, Jeff?
No, I'd like to, but no.
Oh, my God. Could you imagine you stand up on stage, there's Buddy Guy playing cards next to you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, calling Junior Wells and each other, you know. Well, I can't probably say it over the air, but it's pretty funny with the.
No, you can.
Oh, it's a podcast. We don't care.
I can.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Junior Wells would say to Buddy, "Kiss my pussy, motherfucker," all the time. I used to die. And then, you know, Buddy would tell him something else. Shut up, you motherfucker, you know, whatever. I would just sit there dying. They loved each other. You never know, because all they did was just curse at each other. Well, they did it on stage too, but they were some characters.
Oh God!
Yeah,
Buddy
would sit in with us, and one time, the one time I had been in Chicago like 2 months, 3 months, and I was in this band, and I'm in the back playing rhythm, and he calls me up to the front of the stage for the quote unquote guitar battle, and I swear I thought I was gonna faint. I'm like, oh my God, here's my idol, and I was like just this little young lady, and yeah, but he still talks to me. He's like, you know, he has his new club, of course. He's on his 3rd club. He's like, Joanna, we're the only ones left from the old Checkerboard. Everybody else is dead. I'm like, oh Lord, it's so much.
Wow.
So,
and he looks great, and he's like totally.
Oh my God.
You know, like you can. Yeah. He's, you know, how old is he? He's like in his 80s,
so fit.
Right?
He's like 81 or 82. He turned 80. I think he's 81.
Wow.
Yeah, I always said, oh man, how are you doing? Oh, I'm getting old. He always says that to me. I said, no, you sure don't look or act it. He goes, oh, I am. Like,
I saw one of the greatest I saw one of the greatest interviews with him one time, and the one thing that he was talking about was about his career and his success. And he said he was looking for a dime and he found a quarter. And I thought that's a cool ass saying, man.
Yeah, he's an interesting person.
Wow.
And full of energy. He sits in with all the bands now, like if you're playing in his club, if he's not on the road. And so that's pretty cool. All of a sudden, somebody will come up to you on stage and whisper, Buddy wants to sit in. And the girl will come up with his Courvoisier, whatever he drinks, and he gets up there and he doesn't play, but he'll sing, and his voice is just powerful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he and I mean, there's some of those voices are just so iconic, like his, Robert Cray. Robert's voice is like another instrument, you know?
Yeah, I love his voice. Jeez.
Oh man.
I'm not even big on singers, best. Jeff, and I like Robert Cray.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Not many that can sing like that. I mean, really not many at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's something.
Yeah, there's so few left. So you said are you playing regularly in Chicago, or are you doing more touring than playing?
Yeah. I was touring. I toured for like 17 years all over the world, and since 2005, I started to play more in the city, and now I'm playing. I literally have 7 gigs in a row in the city this week. A slow week for me is 4 nights, and I did a double gig yesterday. I started it like in the afternoon at an office party and ended up playing till 3:30 in the morning at the Mines, Kingston Mines, which I do 3 nights a week, and I play the House of Blues every week. But this week I played there 3 times. So I've been working, amen, and I did a lot of festivals this summer, kind of mostly around the Midwest, a little bit on the East Coast, but so yeah, festival work's starting to come through more and more.
Wow. Yeah, especially during the spring and summer. Well, that's awesome. Yeah. That is very cool.
Yeah. Yes, it is. I feel very blessed. So yeah, it's just the hours are long and late, but I can't complain about working as much as I do,
Well, it sounds like you moved and anchored in the right town,
Hell yeah.
I did. Yeah, I did.
We need to move so we can do the podcast from there.
Oh, man.
You should. You see a lot
we'll just set up in her club,
We'll get Buddy
everybody that comes through.
We'll get Buddy on the line.
Yeah. He'll love it. He'll talk.
That would be so cool.
Oh, my God. You make that happen, I'll buy you dinner.
I could make it happen.
Oh.
Wow, that would be very cool. We can't buy you a cream telly.
I shouldn't brag. Oh, okay. Not a 53 Les Paul Gold Top either, probably.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay.
Hey,
Jeff, we snuck into Buddy's club, and you just happened to record him. I can't speak for his manager, but I know he could get a undercover interview with Buddy Guy. No sweat.
Very cool.
Oh,
very cool.
That's awesome.
So what's you said you were doing some touring, doing the festivals and things, and you're playing in the club. What's your rig like nowadays? And is it the same when you're at the club than when you're touring, or do you have to you just call out backline when you're doing fly dates for festivals? Or tell us a little bit about your rig now.
Oh God, people are gonna hate me when I say this. What I have for a rig. Because it's really I had a Supro, I had a Victoria, but I'm using a PV, like a 212 transistor amp from like the 80s, which is like 150 watts of pure power, and that's what I use at the club. So I have an amp at the club at the Mines, and at the House of Blues they have all Victoria amps already there. Buddy Guys, they have a Blackface Twin, so I kind of don't have to move an amp anymore, which is really cool. And at the festivals, they'll have, I'll usually ask for a twin, or like a jazz chorus if they don't have a twin. So I'm pretty, as long as I have something with like clean power, and then I just use my pedals and my trusty Les Paul. Like, like the video you saw, that was whatever was at the festival, which I believe was some kind of, pretty brand new twin. So I just try to make it work, I have a really bad knee, so I can't move those big blackface twins like I used to up and down the stairs.
Yeah, nobody wants to move those things anymore anyway.
No.
No.
I'm 55 now. I'm like, nah, can't do that. I used to do that, but no, I don't want to now. So, yeah, but I've had a lot of different, I've had Hughes & Keltner amps. I've had Fender, I've had Marshalls, I've had Rolands, I had just different amps throughout the years, I didn't save all of them, wish I had them all, but, pretty much now I just, I'm not a gearhead like a lot of guitar players, I must admit. But I'm pretty flexible. I feel like I can get my sound if I dial it in,
Yeah, I mean, and it's great if you can just show up and plug in.
Yeah.
It is so cool.
Is.
Now, you said you have your pedals. Now, what do you have for that? That's probably the main sound, right, that you're getting mostly?
Yeah. I mean, I have a various usually what I do is I have an overdrive, a delay, and a chorus. With chorus, I use for like the rhythm, and I have different ones. Usually Boss stuff, some Digitech stuff. One is a homemade overdrive a guy gave to me that he made. So it just depends, what I'm using. But that's my 3 basic sounds, And I'll switch out pedals just depending. But I love the delay instead of reverb. I kind of learned that from that guy Dion Payton in the 40s Earthsea Bluesman. He's like, I never use reverb. I use a delay. And kind of it gives you a fat, big. I just look for a big sound. It's not like a real quick delay. It's more of a longer delay, but it's kind of like you got to dial it in where it's not overbearingly long and not too quick where it sounds like an old Elvis recording or something. So it's just enough delay where it gives you that fat, big sound. That's what I look for. I know sometimes I'll shut it off, but I just want it to sound as round and as fat and as nasty as it can. I kind of like the clean rhythm, the pretty rhythm, the chords, and then the nasty lead tone. And on my record, I use some real clean, no overdrive, just straight guitar. Just depends on what I'm doing. I feel like with my Les Paul, I can get a lot of sounds out of it, depending on how I set things and if there's any kind of effects going on and what pickup it's on and how you're using your right hand and your left hand, muting, whatever, feels like there's endless voicings that can come out of that guitar to me.
That's very cool. I mean, you're obviously very familiar with it. Is it an older or newer guitar, and is it stock, or have you worked it up?
Well, one of the great things was Gibson actually signed me to I made my first record with Blind Pig in 1990. It came out, and the NAMM show used to be in Chicago. Mm-hmm. So a friend of mine had a pass. He's like, "Oh, check it out. You have your record." So I had an actual album, and I was bringing them in a press kit to different companies. I'm like, I need some gear. I'm a single mom, blah, blah. And Gibson calls me, which I was completely shocked. I was like, wow. I thought it would be like some minor league guitar. And they said, well, when I was on the road a lot, they said, well, we have a showroom in New York, Nashville, and I think it was L.A. I can't remember. But I was in New York touring in that area, and I went to a place, I think it was off of Times Square. Like this is random... they buzz you in and you go into the showroom, they're like, pick a guitar. And it was all these guitars hanging up. I was like, oh. And I knew I wanted a Les Paul. And it was the first year they came out with the Classic 60 reissue series because it was 1990.
Yeah.
And I played the guitar and I was like, oh, the neck felt so good. It's kind of a narrower neck.
Yeah.
And
Yep,
kind
thinner.
of flatter and narrower.
Yep.
Yeah, it's thinner. And I was like, I love this. And that's the same guitar I've been playing, the one that's in that video. And
That's
everything's stock. It's beat to shit, but it feels like home to me,
There you go.
Completely. Yeah.
Wow.
That is
so
cool.
same
other appendage.
Same Les Paul since 1990.
1990.
Yes.
That's something for all of our listeners out there. You think it's the guitar? You're wrong.
Yeah, your new guitar's not going to do anything for you. It's the fingers.
If you stink on the old one, you're going to stink on the new one. That's how it works.
But
I'll
the more
tell
you,
go ahead. I'm sorry, guys.
I was going to say, the more you play them, the better they get.
Yes.
Oh, it's got years of sweat and dust on it. I try to clean it just there. But, I think a lot of it, you need a decent instrument. You need a decent amp. But in Chicago, a lot of times because you play these really long nights. And when I was playing with this guy, Dion, who's a tremendous player who kind of never went anywhere, but he had I forgot what guitar. It was an anniversary model, really nice Les Paul. I don't remember what it was exactly, but he would let guys sit in on his equipment, and every single person that sat in with the same, and because he wouldn't let them touch anything on the amp. They all sounded different. I was like, wow, what is this? And I realized it's really in your hands.
Yeah.
I mean, you can buy all this equipment. I see guys playing amazingly expensive stuff, and they sound awful, and vice versa. People that have not the best stuff and sound great. Or, it's a real individual thing, but I think it's a lot how you play, too, besides, not to take anything away from instruments or amps, because that is important, but it's your technique and, I guess, how you approach things. And I don't know, it could be the size of your hands. I don't know, but it definitely makes a difference. Each person's going to sound different on the same equipment. Don't you think so?
Oh,
100%, absolutely.
Yeah, we've had that conversation 1,000 times, and
yeah, so you can walk up to somebody's well-known rig, like
Angus Young.
Angus of Brian May. I mean, Eddie Pick any of them.
Yeah.
You walk up, you're not going to sound like them at all.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
I remember.
That's the magic.
Yeah.
I remember one time Ted Nugent. I forget what they were doing. They were doing the Cal Jam, I think, and Ted Nugent had an opportunity to play through Eddie's rig. It wasn't Cal Jam. It was something where Ted Nugent and Van Halen were together. And, like, you know, I guess within the first week or something, Ted's, you know, let me plug into his rig. And so he plugs into it. And, of course, you know, with the Birdland, it just goes microphonic to no end. And he can't control it and things. But then Eddie comes out and he's got that monster, you know, that Frankenstein Strat.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, it's Eddie. You know,
yeah.
So it's definitely. I think, like you said, it's like an appendage. And once you start learning all those sweet spots, like, you know, I can stand here, and if I hit this note, it's going to ring and do what I need it to do.
Oh yeah,
those things kind of, you know, to somebody that's never touched it, they would never know that, and so then all that changes, and you know, that's the cool part. That's the really cool part about being a musician, because everybody sounds different.
Yep.
Yeah.
Unless you play EDM.
Well, no comment on that. Yeah, like with my Les Paul, I know exactly where to stand, and I can they'll have to unplug the guitar. I can let it ring forever. You know what I know exactly. Like it was literally, I would drive people crazy, you know, but it's a beautiful thing, you know. Yeah.
That's nice. Do you know what is that guitar? I guess I assume it's been stock since 1990.
Yep.
What
changed?
Well, hopefully you changed strings. What gauge?
10. I use 10. Ernie balls usually.
Nice.
That's 10 gauge, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hey, you know what
An action setup for lead.
Oh, really?
Not slide.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very low action.
Well, that's even crazier then.
That is even crazier.
I wanted to tell everybody, if you use Ernie balls, I use Ernie balls because, well, I think we all should. But I went and bought this pack Cobalt series. Have you heard of them?
Yeah.
The Cobalt series? Okay, so I was on Amazon. This is how Amazon works for me, because I'm too lazy to buy Amazon Prime. So I needed $8 or $6, something like that, to make the $25 limit so I could get free shipping. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, well, you know what? I'll buy 2 packs of strings, and somehow I stumbled upon the Cobalt strings. So I bought them, and I thought, well, you know, one day I'll put them on. And I just use regular hybrid slinkies because I go 9 to 46. I put these things on, and I was like, oh, my God, it is actually louder.
Really?
It is
like
acoustically noticeable.
I think they have acoustic cobalts too, don't they? Or no?
I'm not 100% sure.
Crazy.
I would imagine they probably
put a new pack on my acoustic guitar, and I believe it's that series of the Sunset. But the strings are amazing, and the guitar is way louder.
Yeah, I don't understand what they've done. It's like magic in the string, because it is considerably louder, Jeff. And I thought, maybe I'm magic. No, it is.
Wow.
It's very different, and it's got more clarity. So maybe that's what creates the volume, the clarity,
the perception of loudness.
Yeah,
that could be it.
Yeah. So
strings are pretty. They're important.
Oh yeah. Our good buddy Dean Farley will tell you how important they are.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, they are.
His new line should be coming out again. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of acoustic gigs now, too. Like half of my gigs during the week are acoustic, which is a return. I return and a new thing for me. So I've been doing more and more of those, which is, I think it's maybe a better player in the electric, too. You know, so it's good. Do a few hours a week of acoustic, you know, like 6-7 hours a week. It helps your chops and whatever, and your feel, and it's kind of nice. At first I was scared of it, but then now I kind of enjoy it.
What kind of acoustic do you have?
And not a very good one. It's a Dean. It's nice, though. I used to teach guitar at this store. I don't know the model either. It's terrible, but they had this guitar hanging. This is when I used to teach, and I would bring my Les Paul, but that was back in the day, and there was smoking in the clubs, and I'd pull out the guitar, and it smelled like smoke, even though I don't smoke. And I'm like, oh, I can't have these little kids in here like, ah. So I'd pull out this Dean. I'm like, let me just get the acoustic, and it was just such a nice sounding guitar, and I bought it, and you know, I don't know. I mean, I would love to have a more higher end acoustic, but thing feels great and it sounds. Everybody's like, oh, I love the sound of your acoustic. I'm like,
I was going to say it probably has a friendly neck on it.
It does.
Yeah, if it's a Dean, I would imagine that it would.
Oh,
you know. Yeah. That's pretty cool. Hey Mick, you've put those those pins on your acoustic that you said you liked.
Yeah, the power pins 2.0.
Power.
Yes. Amazing.
What is that?
There's these stainless steel inserts that go into where the what is it, Jeff? The peg.
Where the pins.
Yeah, where the pins go for the strings, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Right.
Really?
Yeah. So what they do is they go in. There's an Allen screw that comes up, and a washer and a whole plate that goes underneath, right? So it's
under the bridge, on the inside,
on the inside of the guitar.
Yeah.
And you got 6 of these, and then you just hook the string in at the back, and it just rides right over the bridge and out, and it is amazing, the clarity, because it ties all of them together, and then you got that stainless steel, so it's like mounted really, really solid, and it rings. The top vibrates very loud. And I was like very skeptical. Yeah, I was kind of skeptical, and then I put them on, and I was like, nope.
Are they stainless or brass?
They're stainless.
Maybe they're stainless. Okay.
Yeah, they're stainless. And I guess just to add more mass
I hate
to it.
Those pegs. Ugh.
Yeah, and no more pegs. No more pegs. Changing strings is like, it's like changing strings on a Les Paul.
Yeah. And in the other side of it is too, is that what you don't realize is that inside the acoustic guitar, underneath the bridge, is just a piece of wood that gets chewed up from the balls of the string.
Of the strings, yeah.
So after X amount of years, that's actually got to be repaired. You got to go have it plugged, and then you got to have it recut out.
And you also have to start using larger pegs before that happens too, because the peg holes get worn out. Yes, this alleviates all of that.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about messing up your bridge, pulling the pins out or any of that stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like heaven.
I hate that system.
I tell you what I'll do. I'll send you the link.
Terrible. Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yay, that's all. It's almost like there's got to be a better way. It just seems so antiquated.
Oh, and see, because I am the ultimate and lazy when it comes to changing strings.
Me too.
I put a set of Spurzl locking gears on there. So
on your acoustic?
On my acoustic. So now I don't even have to do. All I have to do is just pull the string through, pull it through the peg, tighten the locking nut, cut it off, turn it about a half a turn. We're good.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
Oh yeah, I put lockers on everything.
Yeah,
I don't blame you.
I do have to tell you, Mick, you've made me a believer in locking tuning pegs, especially when you're changing strings between sets, because you broke 2 strings on 2 guitars, and it's.
And when you're by yourself, if you're your own roadie, that, and some guys some guys are so traditional, they will go to the grave saying that, it's got to be a Clouson or, whatever. But I'm like, if you're by yourself and you got to do this and you don't have, you want to relax in between sets or whatever.
Yeah.
Locking gears, man, they're lightweight. They don't really do much. I mean, they're not invasive, and it just makes life a little bit easier.
And there's performance guitars, and then there's like vintage studio guitars,
Exactly. You wouldn't do that.
I wouldn't do it to those, but performance guitars, it makes life easy, especially if you're not on the road with a tech.
Yeah, which most of us aren't. Yeah.
Right.
And now Spurzl and Hipshot, they make actual drop-in replacements for vintage tuners. So you don't have to modify the guitar. Yeah.
Nice.
And that's the key, because when you got to get into drilling holes and everything into the headstock, or you got to ream them out, then you kind of, even if it's a performance guitar, Jeff, after you just don't want to do that. You know,
Right.
you
No,
don't
you don't want to do that.
Yeah, and especially if you want to keep it stock looking. I mean, those guys now, both of those companies, they're making tuners that you drop them in and you're like, I guess it's the original tuners, but there's a little locking to the thing on the back of them. And then,
All right, you sold me on all this.
I'm telling you, I'll send you all the information.
Mick will send you some links.
Please.
Yeah.
Especially the acoustic guitar
Oh,
thing.
hell
It's
yeah.
changing those strings. What a pain in the butt. And it takes forever.
Yeah.
Well, compared
Agreed.
to an electric guitar, it's like, oh, well, I got to change my strings.
Yeah, it's the only thing about guitars that can be lethal, besides being electrocuted to death. But I mean, you know, the strings can be you can get really jacked up by a string that's jagged or whatever. Yeah, man,
Yep.
Go across the headstock one time with your bare hand.
Finger. Yeah, it's not good. It's not.
Right.
It's pretty painful. Yeah, I've actually had that happen before a gig, and I'm like bleeding, and it's painful. I'm like, oh, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Then you got to play,
good.
right? Exactly.
Then you got to play.
So,
Yeah.
Joanna, you were saying you play like at least a few days in one club and a couple in the other. Is that with your band? Is it solo? Is it the same band that you go out with? And how, if so, and even if not, tell us about those guys. Like how long you've been together with them?
Well, I always play with the same band, for my band gigs, and some of the gigs I actually play acoustic first, and then I play with the band. It's such a long night, and other gigs like the House of Blues, it's me and the bass player I do a duo, or Lagunitas, I do a duo acoustic, and but my guys in the band actually, my bass player is Lance Lewis, and he was my drummer for years. And he switched to bass because there's like a real lack of bass players here. I don't know why. There's like tragic stories. It's like the Spinal Tap scenario of drummers. We have the bass players here, so it's kind of crazy. And I actually have his nephew on drums who's like 25, which is a riot. He's really good. He's the newest member of the band. He's been with us a few months, but before that, I had a drummer for like 5 years. And I have a rhythm guitarist, and he's been with me off and on for like 25 years. So it's it's a nice. I like the music to be. I mean, I leave room for improvisation and just being in the moment, but I love that tight unit, So it's like a well-oiled machine. So I think that we achieved that, with
That's
flexibility, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the more some people. Especially, well, not so much if you have kind of a residency in a club, you kind of would hope to have the same guys there. But some people, I mean, even like Chuck Berry, when he was touring a lot, he would use local guys, and all of his stuff is like 1-4-5 basically, and it's like just learn all the stuff. He shows up at the club, do a sound check, and it's like boom, gig, and that's nice, but it's so much nicer as a front person to know that the rhythm section, especially behind you, is rock solid, and you can kind of weave in and out of all of that. That really makes it enjoyable to play.
It does. I completely agree. I mean, some people love change, and they don't want to have the same rhythm. I don't know. Everybody's different, but I like that that's where the magic can happen. That's where the telepathic kind of performance thing can happen too. And it's a good thing.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Recording. What is your recording process like? And is there something new and current out there that our listeners should know about? Or are you working on something new? What's that going like for you?
Well, I've had one out. It's been a year on MC Records out of New York called 6 String Stories. And I really liked the record. And the reason I named that was like, every song kind of has its own guitar style, so there's like some really this is where you can hear the Les Paul doing many things. There's like and there's acoustic too on there, but like each it's kind of a bluesy record, but there's like a swing tune, there's like a real one is almost like sheer metal. It kind of really breaks away from the blues, and so that's why I said it's a 6-string story, because the guitar is kind of telling the story on each song. So I like that record. Usually I don't. And then I recorded for Blind Pig and Roof Records and a few other labels in Europe. And so those are different. This record we did was me and the bass player who also plays drums. We kind of did everything on our own and got in some Chicago guys. So we did everything on our own and kind of licensed it. And MC came along. We had 16 tracks done, and they chose, I think it was 11 out of there. It's bad. I don't know my own record. But it's nice. It was a real relaxed process, and I kind of liked it better than doing the quote unquote, more corporate way of recording for a label. And
Sure.
I worked with Jim Gaines and Ardent Studios back in the early '90s, and worked with some nice people, and it was a good experience. But at this point in my career, I do like the freedom of kind of doing what we feel like doing, and we'll probably do it again, kind of the same way.
Very cool. Now, when you were recording, were you using amps, or are you doing the whole virtual thing like a lot of people are nowadays?
No, we're using amps. I mean, we had like the Pro Tools and all that stuff, but we did it the old-fashioned way, the real drums and the guitar in the guitar amp in the bathroom, that kind of thing. We did it that way.
Nice.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I was thinking, Jeff.
Yep.
You maybe you have to work out a deal where you can get Joanna one of your New York minutes.
Oh, the amp?
Yeah,
the amp?
Nice loud amp, but a real small package and not too bad to carry if you had to, and it'll knock your socks off.
Oh, I like that. Oh, that's what I'm looking for. You have such a thing?
Well, there you go, Jeff.
I possibly do. Yeah.
Ooh, he put you on the spot there.
I don't know if it can compete with a solid state Peavey, but
Hey, I only play that amp on 2, so there's like blow your head off completely.
That's funny.
I'm interested.
That is funny. That's hilarious.
Well,
wow.
You guys will have to chat after the show because
we'll talk.
Because let me tell you, an East amplifier it's got volume. That's one thing it definitely has.
I like.
Yeah, you
True.
like that.
Well, I like to have the headroom. You know what I mean? It's like I understand the concept of the low wattage amp, and watts don't always mean everything, obviously, because each amp is different. But I do like to have that. Like, if you want it super clean, I like to be able to have that option.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
You can do that.
Oh,
yeah.
for sure. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and that's that's like a lot of people do the same thing that you do. Backline with a really good, clean, basic palette to work from.
Yeah.
And then, then you know your guitar and your pedals, and because it's so many people now are just doing fly dates, they're doing one-offs. They're touring Europe, and nobody can afford to fly backline into Europe or Japan or anything anymore. So you call out like a twin or a standard type of Marshall that is going to be everywhere.
Yeah.
And you just have your fly rig, a couple of pedals and a guitar, and let's go.
Yeah, and let's go, yeah.
And if you want to hear something crazy, speaking of twins, we talked to a young lady named Andriana Powell, and she plays for bands like Black Eyed Peas and band, like Chris Brown, people like that. She has two twins on stage. Me and Jeff were like, "Are you serious?"
But it's just for big, clean headroom.
Yeah, that's what it was.
She does what she wants with it. Right.
Two twins.
Oh, she's playing some big venues too.
Well, that's the other
Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah. And the other thing about that, Mick, is that's also for redundancy purpose.
Yeah.
Because in a gig like that, you can't have an amp go down.
No.
Number two's already got to be.
Oh yeah,
going,
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That makes sense.
Yeah. That's why a lot of time on
tube amps.
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah, I love them, but with tube amps, when I was touring with tube amps, you get to the gig and like, I need a tube or whatever, and they're a little bit more. They need to be handled a little bit more delicately,
Yeah, they can be a little finicky, but it's all you or your guy or your people or whatever. Just you have to know that and treat it accordingly, and most times it's just fine,
You don't want to be putting it in the cargo hold of the Greyhound bus.
But I was going to say, you obviously got some really good luck with tube amps.
I did actually for years. Yeah, I did. I traveled without a case, and it was pretty. I was lucky.
Yeah, that's trial by fire.
Yes, it was.
You get there, and the guy's like, "I got a handle, and there's nothing else attached to it. And you got the handle of it."
That's pretty funny.
You ever seen those guys throw that luggage in there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, the same guys that work for UPS.
Yeah. Oh man.
Wow. Joanna, did we did you say, or did I ask, or did you mention that, are you working on anything new again currently? Like a new release?
Not right now. I mean, I have to make some time to do it, but I'm starting to think about it. Like, what's the next move? It's kind of like brewing in my brain now. What's the album going to be like? What are we going to, thinking about players, different things. So I'm formulating it, and I'm thinking we'll probably go in the studio sometime in the late spring. I also have a daughter who plays college basketball, so season is coming up, and I go to see her. And
well, family's important.
Waiting for the basketball season to be over, too.
I can't imagine Chicago having a big basketball thing.
Yeah, I never heard of that. Blues and basketball. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Chicago?
Yeah.
That's funny.
She's in Indiana playing, though. She's 4 hours away, but she came through the tough Chicago basketball school there.
Wow.
That's something else.
That's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on that too. That's pretty awesome.
Thank you.
Hey, there was one question. Did you play that big festival that they have in what is it, Wisconsin? Where is that big one? It's a huge one that they have out there.
Is it a blues?
No, it's everything. I mean, it's everything. Yeah, and they've got like 15
the Summer
stages.
Fest in Milwaukee.
There you go.
That's the one you told me. Yeah, I did play that years ago.
My friend actually lives there, and he said, "Hey, man, check this out." And I scrolled for 45 minutes and never got to the blast band.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's like
huge.
6 days.
One of the big festivals. Yeah. And they have 1 million stages.
Yeah.
I did. I played that a long time ago, like twice.
Our buddy Greg Polk plays it every year.
90s.
Wow.
That is awesome.
That is pretty.
I heard about that guy. He's supposed to be amazing. I haven't checked him out yet.
Well, you have to check out our podcast with him because
I sure do.
Greg is the best. I'm telling you, and he's that guy. We sat in the Fishman booth inside a private room with him, and he was that guy, wasn't he, Jeff?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, he doesn't change. It's not like a show that he's putting on. That's Greg.
No.
Wow.
He's wild, and he plays guitar like that too.
Yes, he does. It does.
Love it.
Yeah, no, he's great.
He plays every style of guitar. I know a guy in Iowa who's like a super great player, and he was just extolling this guy, and I'm like, well, if he's saying this guy's got to be super good.
Yeah,
so I have to check him out.
He
definitely check him out.
He was doing a live YouTube thing the other day, and people were sending in questions. It was for Premier Guitar. And and without going on this tangent, but the guy said, so who's your newest influence? And he goes, really honestly, all my influences are on records of dead guys. He goes, I really don't listen to anybody new. He goes, I know a lot of good players. He goes, but all the guys that influenced me are dead.
Yeah, I understand. And there are great players everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you got shortage.
You got to know and sit in with a bunch of them, that's
the
consider yourself very fortunate. That is so awesome.
Yes, it was fortunate. It was. I think back like, God, I wish there were iPhones back then so I could have all this. But hey, it's all in my brain. So there you go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Well, it was worth the risk throwing that twin underneath that Greyhound. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
It was.
You got where you needed to be.
I still remember that. Yeah, I did. I went on an adventure, and gosh, it's paid off in spades some kind of way, you know. I'm not rich, but I'm rich in experience and memory. So there you go.
Wow.
You know.
You can't take the money with you.
No,
you know?
I've tried.
No, I'm enjoying my life. You've tried. Good. I am a working musician. I raised 2 kids doing it. Nothing but music, so it's been good.
Wow.
I've been very blessed.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Look at that.
Well,
Yeah.
Joanna, anything else that we didn't touch on that you would like our listeners to know? Any endorsements or anything that you want to give a plug to? Or
at this point, no. But
Okay, cool.
I'm glad that people are still playing guitar and loving guitar. You're reading all these death notices of the lack of guitarists, but I still see a lot of great players around, and I'm happy about that. And I'm glad people are still coming to see live music. I mean, I played last night on a Tuesday, and there was still quite a good crowd at 3 a.m. So, amen.
wow,
Good.
that's
Yeah.
really cool. And are you seeing? Before we go, a question: are you seeing young people come into the fray?
Yeah, they're starting to be. I met a few people recently. They're like 20 years old, and they're playing very well, and they're on their way. You know, different instruments. And they said my drummer is 25, and just an amazing drummer, and playing all different styles. Very sensitive musically, and very creative, and lots of great guitarists. And it's nice. And more women playing, which is good to see.
We've had a lot on this show.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, very encouraging. I mean, back in the day, it was like, is anybody there that's a woman playing? And now they're everywhere, which is great, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Glad to see that.
That's very
You know
cool.
what?
Yeah.
You know what, Jeff? We're going to have Joanna back on. We're going to have to make sure we have her back on at least once a year. Just to see how the Chicago scene
Just to
is
see
going.
how Chicago scene is. Yeah,
Just to see how it's going,
Yeah.
and you know, and see how that 1990 63 issue is hanging up there. And I think it'll be fun. What do you think?
I think it's cool, and
It's our Midwest connection.
There you go. And I like that you like
Yeah.
the 60 Les Paul, because that's my favorite too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
I do. Everybody goes
Yeah.
59. So now I like the 60 neck better than the 59, you know.
Yes, I agree. Oh, there you go. Good
Yeah.
taste.
See?
Yeah.
But everybody like people have what they like. They like what they like. What feels good to them, you know.
Right.
Everybody's
for sure.
different.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right.
I call it my third child. That's my third child.
Cool.
That Les Paul.
Now,
Yeah.
do you have a website or anything?
Yep, JoannaConnor.com.
All right. Well, guess what? That is going to live on this show in
Perpetuity.
That's right, which means forever.
There you go.
Or until the EMP hits. And
That's right.
That will sit out in the archives, and I want everybody to go and check it out, and check out Joanna's stuff, because you're going to be surprised. I mean, you're going to be like, okay,
Thank
the slide guitar has a new rival. And
thank you.
Derek Trucks is getting a run for his money.
Oh, Lord. He's wonderful. He's a great player. Him and Sonny Landreth are like two of my
Sonny
favorite
Landreth, now that's
guys.
a whole other story.
That's
I know,
a whole
he's
different
mind
slide
blowing.
animal. Wow.
Yeah.
I know. He does stuff. I'm like, what's he doing? And
Hey,
how?
when
Yeah,
people are
he's one of
playing
the few
behind the
people I
slide.
say that.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
fingering behind the slide. I don't know anybody else that does that.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
No.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
then you got
he's
Warren
ridiculous.
Haynes. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some good players out there.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
And you're one of them.
That's right.
That's
Thank
right.
you. Thanks, guys. I
All right,
appreciate that.
Joanna, thank you very much for taking the time to be on with us, and much continued success. And it sounds like you're as busy as you want to be, and
Yeah.
we're happy about that, man.
Hell
That's
yeah.
great. Awesome.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
All right.
Have a good
You're welcome, Joanna.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Have a great weekend. I mean, a great evening.
You
It's
too.
not weekend yet.
Thank you.
See you,
It's always
Joanna.
good when you're a musician. All right.
See,
Take care.
true that. See ya.
As a special offer to our audiences, WarbyParker.com will give you a 5-day home try-on complete with 5 pairs of glasses to choose. Just go to WarbyParkerTrial.com /AAA to get a free 5-day home try-on. Warby Parker makes buying glasses online easy and risk-free. Their home try-on program allows customers to order 5 pairs of glasses to be shipped directly to them where they can try them on in the comfort of their own home. For every pair of glasses sold, Warby Parker distributes a pair of glasses to someone in need. Warby Parker makes buying glasses fun, easy, and pain-free. Warby Parker keeps their styles highly curated, fashion-forward, and extremely wearable while including high-quality lenses and coatings at no additional cost. Warby Parker makes your experience completely risk-free and free shipping all around. Visit warbyparkertrial.com/AAA to begin your free home trial-on experience today.
And there you have the story.
Hey, man.
Bus trip and all.
How cool is that?
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Three separate buses, 2 luggage exchanges, 3 separate buses, and the twin made it to Chicago. Man, if that ain't a blue story, I don't know what is.
You know what? And just literally just trying, just going out there, it just is, hey, I'm going to go out there and see what I can do. How about that, man? That takes a lot. That takes a lot of gumption.
For sure.
There's a lot of grit behind that because you could go and fail miserably. I mean, and that's got to be in the back of your mind. But, look at her.
Yeah.
Playing at Buddy's place, man. What the hell? You don't have to, it's like she said, she's not rich, but she's rich in all this. And it's like, honestly, she won.
Absolutely.
Winner.
And if you were paying attention, she's mentioned something like she was in the house band in the club about 3 months after she got to Chicago.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And then Albert King, your favorite King, comes up and tells her she's, impressive.
I like the way you play that guitar.
Can you imagine it?
Wow.
I mean, what the hell do you say at that point? You're just like, I guess I'm done.
Let me pick up my bottom jaw and I will respond in kind.
Yeah. One of the Kings just said I was good.
Wow. I don't think it gets much better.
No.
I don't think it gets much better. That's so cool, man.
And what's so funny is that Midwest corridor must be the place to be if you're going to be that type of player because, Greg said, hey, I don't like traveling. I like staying right there. And he just does the Milwaukee thing. And she's in Chicago and, I mean, God bless him, man. But how hard, how the scene is here. And all these places, there's no more places to play. And when there is, it's, oh, God, it's. So,
it still seems like that's a pretty decent music town.
It seems. And let me tell you, I've been there when they had that little festival thing.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, first off, I've never seen so much food in my life. And then second, there's like bands every other street. It's insane. And it's not just a couple. It's a ton.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Cool.
I think it has held on to more of its vibe and tradition, much more so than like Austin has. Austin has changed.
Yeah.
Austin used to be like that. Memphis was another big blues place. I'm really not sure how that fares anywhere. Nashville's still up there, although of course it's changed, but Nashville is very cool. But it seems like Chicago has still got that deep blues roots, and that's very cool.
I think thing is if you really think about it, right? Like country has changed to almost where it's like rock, right? I mean, it really is. If you talk to an old country guy, they'll be like, "I didn't country."
Right.
And you got to go deep on the dial, or you got to go into some, chicken wired place to really find some old country music. But, and that's changed. So Nashville is, kind of changed to that, right?
True.
How the tide always goes the way. But blues is always kind of, you can't really get away from what it is.
Well,
if you do too much to it, it's not blues anymore.
A lot of rock. I mean, even starting from Zeppelin on up, a lot of rock is very much blues based. So a lot of rock is blues rock.
Yes,
that
is true.
So much of it, but there's still more original style blues around than there is original style country.
Absolutely, 100%.
The blues it's alive and well, man. It's alive and well.
Yeah, which is a good thing.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it.
Well, so until next time, my friend,
That's right, because you never know what kind of music we're going to bring you next.
Oh, I got guests lined up for a month.
Yeah.
I'm Mick Marcelino.
I'm Jeff Bober.
And we're always saying,
onward.
Be sure and follow the show on Twitter @AmsandAxes. Also, make sure you like the show on Facebook. For news, comments, and everything else, visit the webpage, ampsandaxescast.com. Thanks for listening.